Ayman Khan here for seconds out. Pleasure to be in the company of legend in the game, Barry McGuigan, enjoying the last bit of the sun before heading back home to the UK. Barry, great to see you. Most importantly, Caroline Dubois missed its boxing debut. She hadn't heard the word debut in quite a while. She was excited for that. How do you feel she did last night?
I thought she done very well. Under the circumstances, fighting in Miami. We come from a freezing cold country. It's now warm out here. We've been out here a couple of weeks. Um, she sparred brilliantly in camp. I thought she handled the whole occasion very well. A lot of pressure on her, and she dropped Camila Panata in the seventh. Had her badly hurt in the eighth. Badly hurt again in the ninth. Couldn't finish it, but other than that, she won it by, three of the judges had it 9 rounds out of 10. So you can't do better than that, Emma.
It was that just the last bit missing, maybe that stoppage, and how far away do you
Yeah.
think it was?
Well, I mean, it was just, but a lot of that is confidence and experience. It's just about knowing that you can empty the tank, recharge again, move around, box, get your breath back, and then go again and again. That takes time. It takes experience. You have to be through. You have to go through it a number of times before you then, trust yourself to really go at it again. But I mean, look, it was an absolutely perfect performance. She showed her power. She showed her class. She showed her skill, and she looked great. She looked superb, I thought.
In boxing, you need dance partners, and she seems to have one lined up in the future in the form of Alycia Baumgardner, who's
Yeah.
also out last night. She did 12 3-minute rounds.
Alycia Baumgardner, yeah, she went 12 rounds, 12 threes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
in. Um, yeah, but she wasn't able to get rid of the girl, which is interesting.
That's right.
Um, uh, she dominated and won by a unanimous decision. I didn't watch it all, and what was it? The result was like a wide points decision, was it?
That's right. There was a couple of moments in the fight where Alycia Baumgardner took some big punches, but most importantly, she said that, Caroline, if you want that fight, you might have to come up to 12 threes. It's something the team would entertain.
Well, you have to ask the boss that. That's Shane. So I will not answer any questions that that I'm not supposed to answer. That's his job, and he will chat to Caroline and speak, to Jake and Blaine and just discuss what way forward they're going to go. But that's definitely a headline fight. Yeah. So. The Terry Harper fight's a very exciting fight. Alycia Baumgardner, very exciting fight. So there are great opportunities out there. The issue of going 12 3-minute rounds is something that Shane will discuss with with Jake and Blaine and Caroline, obviously. But to be honest with you, Caroline's a machine. She's in great shape, and they'll come to some arrangement. I don't know whether she jumps straight into 10 or sorry, from 10 twos to 12 threes. I don't think that's likely, but they'll probably discuss. They'll agree on something. But she wants to fight Baumgardner. I think she beats her. She beats Terry Harper. I think she beats them all, and she's getting better. And she's only 24 years old, so very, very talented young lady, explosive, and she's getting better and better. And that's what you expect, and that's what these occasions are all about: getting in, feeling the atmosphere, different country, different set of circumstances, different types of pressure, and I thought she boxed magnificently well, and she's getting better all the time.
What about the gap, if at all, between Caroline and Alycia? How would you describe that in terms of skill and experience?
Gap? There's no gap.
Hmm.
Caroline's every bit as skillful as Alycia Baumgardner. Absolutely, no question about that at all. The only difference that Baumgardner has yet to realize is that she punches so much harder than her, and Well, let's just wait and see. So let's wait and see what they can agree on. But she's got Terry Harper there as well to deal with. So a lot of good fights out there for Caroline, and she's getting better. She's improving. She's gaining experience. She's getting better all the time.
It seems to be bringing out a bit more of a personality as well to Caroline. She's obviously been nicknamed Sweet Caroline, but she's got someone
Yeah,
in the form of Alycia Baumgardner who's kind of going at her a little bit, biting at her a little bit, and Caroline's
yeah,
holding the ground too.
yeah. Well, interesting. She met her in the flesh several occasions, and she never opened her mouth. Of course, she'd get in front of the camera and she'd be bumptious and braggadocio and lots of all of that nonsense. But Caroline doesn't worry about that. So she is, I think, by far the most explosive lightweight in the world, and she will prove that in the future.
Barry, let's get to the top of the action in the form of Anthony Joshua versus
Yeah,
Jake Paul last night. Did you catch it? What did you see?
I watched it. Yeah, I came back to the hotel and watched it. I thought I've got to be honest. I didn't think Jake Paul would be as brave, but he's got a double fracture of his jaw. Correct? Is that
That's
right?
that's what's being
Yeah.
said. Is
Yeah. He was hit with that amazing uppercut just before the end. Um, but he showed real courage, and I have to tell you, clever to keep on the move and be as mobile as he could be for the first couple of rounds, side to side, run around the ring. Why would you let someone as explosive? It's what we always sort of believed that if he mixed it with Joshua, he would come a cropper, and he showed good resistance. He showed intelligence, and he moved around the ring. He made himself as mobile as he could, but eventually Joshua just hunted him down and hit him with that right uppercut that he hit him was a spectacular shot. I mean, he nearly took his head off with that uppercut, which I think is the one that broke his jaw. But he showed real courage, Jake Paul. Fair dues to him. Round of applause. He showed real guts.
how long do you think and would Jake need to hone his craft to get towards a level where he could compete with AJ?
I don't think he's ever going to be able to compete with AJ. I think he's a modern cruiserweight or a small. If he'd been born in the 1970s, he would have been a heavyweight. But these monstrous guys now are 18, 19 stone, huge. So he's not big enough for them. I think he needs to return to cruiserweight because he'd be far more successful at that weight.
From Anti Joshua's perspective, a lot of people in the boxing industry, hardened people in the boxing industry, have been kind of saying it would be disappointing if Anti Joshua went more than a few rounds with Jake Paul. It ended up going more than a few rounds, six rounds to be precise. Did you find that to be disappointing?
No, I think he tried. He tried to cut the ring down. It was probably a 22-foot, 24
Mm.
foot ring. It was a big ring, um, and he done all he could to close him down. But Jake has learned through his sparring and through sparring some good guys how to be evasive, how to keep on. If you were giving away that type of weight to Joshua, you would want to be mobile. You would want to keep as far away from him as you could. Hope to walk him onto a shot. Use your jab, but keep out of the way. Because as soon as he stopped, those heavy, big, beefy, heavy shots were bouncing off his head, and he missed them by millimeters, like dozens of times, and didn't. Had he connected, he would have knocked him out. And then you saw what happened. He hit that right uppercut, broke his jaw in two places. He nearly decapitated him, and then he finished him with the right hand. So I have to take my hat off to Jake Paul. I was like most people a bit worried and concerned about him, but he showed courage. He showed real courage, and fair dues to him. But Joshua, took his time, and he wasn't afraid to go those extra rounds to close him down, but to get the job done. And he finished him, pretty clinically.
Did you see a difference in Joshua now that he's moved to Alexander Usyk's team and his craft last night?
I don't want to be rude, but I didn't see a great deal of difference. He's always been a very athletic, very muscular, huge, ginormous figure of a guy, and is a good aggressive fighter. Used his jab well, and Jake was making things as difficult as he could because he was being mobile and then moving his feet and then bopping to the left, dropping to the right, pulling back, rolling his head, and just trying to keep himself as elusive as he could. So it wasn't surprising that it took half a dozen rounds. You know, the bottom line from Joshua's point of view is he got the job done. He got the result he wanted. Um, he done what he had to do. It was untidy at times, and you thought, why can't he nail him? But Jake Paul done his thing. He tried as best he could to be as mobile as he could, to throw a big looping right hand, which he tried several times in the hope that he would connect. But it was always going to be, as far as I was concerned, it was always going to be a one-way street. He was going to get flattened. It wouldn't matter whether it was the second round or the eighth round, but he was going to get flattened.
Anthony said post-fight that he'd taken this year out because he wanted to find love for the sport again. He wanted to know if this is what he wanted to do again with someone in the form of Anthony Joshua who has the prospect of Tyson Fury in one or two fights next year. What signals does that send to you about him and where he's at right now?
Say that again, Eamon.
So Anthony Joshua in his post-fight had said that he'd taken this year out, what, of course, to heal up a couple of injuries, but also to find his love for the sport again. He said he was trying to find his love for boxing again. What signals does that send to you about him in terms of his desire and with the prospect of Tyson Fury and one or two fights coming up?
Well, I think he's been honest. I like that. I like that about him. He said, I had to know that I wanted to do it
That's
again.
right.
And a lot of purists would say, well, why would you take this sort of fight that for many people would be considered a jokey sort of a fight? Um, he done what he done. He chased the guy down and knocked him out. But the purists would say, well, you should have taken a more serious contender. Um, and I admire his honesty because he's earned a fortune. He doesn't really need boxing. He needs to know that he's got enough of an appetite to want to do it again, to want to enter those big hard fights. And there's a Tyson Fury fight. There's a rematch with Dubois. There's a rematch with Usyk if Usyk hangs around. There's these young Tumas coming through. Does he really want to be part of that, or does he not? And has he reached the stage in his career where he's had enough money, he's earned enough money, and thought, well, I'm going to bow out now with my faculties, with everything. It's a tough business. It's a brutal and hard sport, and you can get injured and you can get seriously injured. So you have to ask yourself these questions. And I admire the fact that he's done that, and the fact that he's admitted that. But there are going to be more difficult opponents than Jake Paul, and he knows that. And he'll have to knuckle down and get straight on with it, and design or to pick what fights he needs to have now to get him to where he wants to be. I think the Tyson Fury fight's a fight that everybody wants to see. Neither of them are champion. They're both in the same boat in many ways. And let's see that fight, and then he can sort of take a look at the horizon and see what's happened since, and what will happen with Usyk and in the future too. So he seems to be the top man. I'm not sure there's much left in him either. Tuma's coming through. It's very exciting, the heavyweights.
And the final question thing, Barry, I'd like to end with, of course, is just an update on the rest of the stable. Ellie Scottney, looking forward to seeing her back out.
Yeah,
Crispin Smith as
yeah,
well too. Adam Azim, bright
yeah.
future for him. What can you say about the rest of the stable?
Oh, the stable is flying at the moment. Ellie is just like, she is just buzzing. She's such a great personality. She really fires up the gym too, and she's friendly with Chris and friendly with Adam and friendly with Caroline. We've got a very nice atmosphere in the gym. They're all lovely kids. They're all working as hard as they can to maximize their potential. We all have the same code. There's no point in looking back in 10 or 15 or 20 years and thinking, God, I wish I'd have done that. Put the hard work in, get the maximum out of your career, and then sail into the sunset. That's what it's all about. If you'd watched the spar, Ayman, Chris Billam-Smith sparred a cruiserweight, light heavyweight guy called Gonzalez, a Cuban, out in the suburbs of Miami yesterday, and Jesus Christ, what a spar! I thought Ayman and Chris was just spectacular in the spar. I mean, he always loves hard sparring, but they both lumped the living daylights out of each other. But Chris definitely got the better of it, without a doubt. But that Gonzalez kid, he took some stick, and he's a strong kid. Adam, again, looked magnificent in sparring. We brought him with us when we were out with Daniel Dubois, and we went to a Cuban gym the last time we were here as well, and he sparred one of the top Cubans and battered him, and he sparred brilliantly this week. Felt a bit unwell with his stomach and a bit of travel sickness, but still sparred brilliantly. So yeah, the camp, the gym is thriving. The kids are very buoyant, and it's onwards and upwards.
Onwards and upwards, indeed, Barry. I appreciate you giving me some of your time on this weekend. Thanks so much for speaking to Seconds Out. Looking forward to seeing you again in person in the future.
Thanks, Ayman. Love that hair, by the way. Keep it like that. It looks fantastic.
You're the second
I'm
person.
just jealous because I don't have any. I know.
I should get your haircut. I'm not far off from it.
You don't want my haircut. Looking great, son. Take care.
Appreciate it, Barry.
Bye.